Hey, Evelyn. I'm not sure what we're doing. And I'm sorry, but I am sitting here finishing up my supper because I wasn't sure what we were doing. I ended up taking a late nap. I just woke up and I thought, well, what am I supposed to do? So, um, I guess I'll see if if I can figure out what we're doing here. Hey, cats. I had gotten a message from Tally saying that Beth had shingles and she wasn't sure she was going to feel well enough to do it. But then I went over and listened to Beth, and Beth talked like she was talking with Mary, and Beth talked like she was still planning on doing it. So, and I didn't hear anything back from Tally after that. Hello, Jonathan. Hi, Teresa. And I'm ready to do it if they show up and decide to do it. And if not, well, I'm here anyway. And, we can hang out. But I'm ready to do it if they want to. Beth taught what I heard in the beginning of her stream. She was telling Mary what time, and she sounded excited to do it, but I don't know. So give me like 5 minutes. I'm going to mute because I hate eating with my mic on. And we'll see if anyone shows up. I'll watch the chat to see if they do. But I'm just going to be silent for a couple minutes while I finish my supper here. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I'll finish eating that later. I hate sitting here in silence and watching people in chat with nothing to listen to. So, what we were going to talk about tonight I'll go ahead and give you, I guess, a little bit of backstory. And if they show up and decide that they want to do the analysis like we were going to, we can. But I'll go ahead and just tell you about what we were going to talk about. We were going to talk about Arthur Shawcross. I'm not sure how many of you follow crime, but he is a serial killer. Hey, Gina. A chat room fight. So Arthur Shawcross was a serial killer. And he killed 11 people. He actually did 2 different stints for killing. One when he was, I believe, 27, or 2 murders when I believe he was 27, and he was imprisoned for those. And then he was let out of prison and then killed 9 more people and was put back in prison again. He later died in prison from, I think it was a heart attack. And so, yeah, this is one of those people who killed someone or killed 2 people, got out, went and killed more, and went back, which is, again, what happened to Ted Bundy. He had been captured and put in jail and on trial and all that, and got out and killed more people. And I think that kind of goes to show you that these people who are serial killers won't stop. Jail is not a deterrent. Hey, Sugar. So yeah, he's kind of a just a gross guy. And I was researching into his background and into his life and things like that. Came across about 5, for certain head injuries, significant head injuries that he had throughout his life. Also, what state was that in? Let me think. You asked me the one question, for the easy question, and I can't think of it. Let me look real quick, because I don't want to give you the wrong. I'm thinking it was somewhere like Pennsylvania or New York or something. Let me see. New York. Yeah, because he was also known as the Genesee River Killer. And it was in 1972 when he killed the first 2 people. And then I believe his next string of killings were in 1988 into 89, I think. So yeah, I was saying though that from what I researched and found, there were several significant recorded, by him, head traumas that he had suffered. But I was only able to really give credence to maybe about 5 of them. Hey, Beth. Sugar, I'm talking about Arthur Shawcross. Beth, I wasn't sure if we were going to do this or not. I had gotten kind of mixed signals on it. Towley said probably not because you were sick and you had shingles. And so I went over to listen to your stream. And in the beginning of it, you were telling Mary about how excited you were for it. And it sounded like you thought we were still doing it. So I was waiting to hear back from Towley, and I didn't. And I didn't know if you were going to do this or not. But I didn't want to... Cats. Yeah, I'm interested in it too. And I'm actually prepared for once. I'm excited about it. And I'm prepared. I took notes. I researched. I was like adulting hardcore. So, but his first two people that he killed were children. Oh, let me go back to his head injuries. Like I said, I was able to, find about 5 significant head injuries that had occurred. And it's clear in watching his interviews that he has some sort of neurological problem or damage. And now whether that is from the head injuries or the head traumas, I can't say for sure. I'm not a doctor. I've never met the man. I've never looked at any of his, neurological reports or anything. But I would say that it could be. I don't know. Are we going to do this? I don't want to leave Towley out. Hey, Jeff. I don't want to leave Towley out because this was Towley's idea. Yes, Evelyn will behave. We're all going to behave. This is not going to have anything to do with drama. And anyone who comes in and wants to talk about this is welcome. If they get ornery, you know what to do. Hey, Aaron. Yes, Gina, and I have my suspicions about that. Where is Towley? Can anyone get a hold of her? I had messaged her on Twitter, and I never heard back from her. I'm going to, let me get this link here. So let me just kind of finish the backstory here. Hold on. Let me close some of these tabs. No shame, Mittens. That's right, Jeff. Okay, so the head injuries. Clearly, he has some kind of neurological difficulties going on. Whether they're from the head injuries or not, I can't say. Also, it should be noted that he had a syndrome called Xyy Syndrome, and that is where a person or a man is born with an extra chromosome, an extra Y chromosome. And long ago, it was thought that this made someone like extra aggressive. Through the years, it's been kind of quashed that it causes like hyper aggressiveness, but there are still cases where they see what is the word I want? Compulsive behaviors, an inability to I just lost my word. Let me find my notes here. Anyway, it makes them notes. I can't think of the word I want. I know you guys know the word. But I know what it is. Impulse control. They have less impulse control, people with the XYY chromosome syndrome. And they often have learning disabilities and behavioral problems. So when we find out that he generally, and he had been tested a couple of times, several times, when he scored in the lower levels of the normal range for IQ, that could be definitely, a factor in that. I think I have a family friend with that creator. Yes, Beth. Hi, city girl. So, she's not answering her phone. Great. I want to do this so bad, but I don't want to do it without her. Well, let me go ahead and get Beth this link. I don't. Okay, I'm going to just put it in the chat because Beth and I don't have each other on Twitter, and I'll just be safe when I let her up. That link is only for Beth or Towley if you're in here right now. But if we decide that we're going to do this, if Towley shows up or whatever, we may have other people use the link. Yay, Towley's here. Towley, you want to do this? Beth sounded like she was doing good, and she said she was talking and stuff like she thought we were still doing it. And so I hear someone knocking. Is that you?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, hello.
I have been waiting for this stream all day. You have no idea.
Me too. I've been excited. And then Towley said you were sick, and I was like, oh, no.
Oh, this is a different kind of shingles. It's like I got to go down my leg. But Mom thinks it's something else, like it's psoriatic arthritis or something on my face. My whole face is red and blistered.
Hi, Mr. Positive. I'm sorry to hear that. I know shingles are a pain in the butt, just regular,
Mm-hmm. This is crazy. So I'm so glad there's Tally.
Yeah.
She said can't come up right now, but I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you want us to go ahead, Tally? Because we can. But I don't want to leave you out of it either. I was excited for you to kind of keep us on track and all that, but I can understand if you can't come up.
I was doing my research and I went back because, I studied, listen, criminals, the mass murders and serial killers class that I took in college. That was the most fun class. It was so interesting. So this fascinates me.
And did you have experience too? I think I remember you saying in forensic psychology.
Yes.
So did you cover?
That's what I kind of wanted to do after I got my BS. I was like, I want to go into forensics, the forensics of it, because it's so interesting how the different mind works when different parts of the brain are damaged, like the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, and he had damage there. If you Google, I found his MRIs, his CT scans. They're on there.
I didn't. I know I've seen pictures of them, but I didn't go and find them like for what injury was, before or after those scans.
I didn't. It wasn't really clear whether at what age they were done, but you can see the lack of the lack of use in the prefrontal cortex controls your sexuality, your your anxiety, your impulse control, and we all know the amygdala controls everything. So but his were so clear. They had a normal person, and then they had his, and
Yeah.
I was like, bingo. I mean, they could have discovered this back when he was killing cats as a kid, and no killing
See,
cat
that's
days.
another thing that I couldn't find on him. I couldn't find where he had animal killing as a
Yeah,
child.
I found it. He killed cats. He killed any kind of animal, small animal that he could find, and then he would play with roadkill. And I found that interesting because usually after after the most famous of the serial killers, after they kill an animal, they discard it. He played with it, or
Hmm.
else they will save it as a trophy.
Well,
But
I did see, the three things: the animal
mm-hmm,
killing or whatever. I did find that he did have a fascination with fire,
mm-hmm,
and that he also was a bedwetter, and that his
right,
mother shamed him for that.
the
So there,
bedwetting.
yeah,
I
there we
I
have
don't
the
get that.
yeah the
Why
dark
is that a
matter.
part of it? But it is.
Yeah.
You know, now every mom's gonna be going, "Oh my God, my kid wet his bed until he was 10. He's gonna be a serial killer."
Hello, Margie. Hello, everyone I've missed. Anita
Hi,
and
Mary.
Mary and everyone. Yeah,
Uh,
we won't talk too much about the details of the animals because that
no.
upsets me as well.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to talk about it, but the fact that it happens, and it happens regularly, and all of these people that do this, that shows there is a pattern, and it's got to be genetic.
Yeah.
You don't teach your kids that, and there's no control with a bedwetter. They
No.
do it in their sleep, so it's got to be genetic with that way. But I think it's also environmental, don't you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because they
Um,
all have shitty parents or grandparents.
yeah,
I
and with
mean,
the bedwetting, a lot of times even children who have been like sleeping through the night for years
mhm,
without wetting the bed can start wetting the bed again because of their environment,
right,
abuse taking place or changes going on and stuff like that. So
stress, yeah,
again, I wish that like we would have been able to interview him personally. All we can
right.
depend on is what he said to other people in videotaped interviews. But my gosh, wouldn't this have been like a fascinating interview to be able to
Hmm.
do?
Oh, I'd have sat in on it in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to hear out of his own mouth how the way he killed it, he was horrible. How in his mind he justified it.
Yeah.
Because they always, like, even Dahmer, all of them, Ted Bundy, they justified why they killed. I would love to hear from his own mouth, you know, what his justification was. And because serial killers don't think like we do.
No.
So that would be great. But too late now. So
Did you have any timestamps from the interview they did that you wanted me to bring up?
no, I didn't do timestamps. That's one
Okay,
thing I
that's all
didn't
right.
do.
That's all right
I,
because I
I
just thought,
read everything I could, but I didn't timestamp.
well, I just
Should have.
thought that, as we're talking about things, people who haven't seen the interview with him, um, I might bring those up so that they can see what we're talking about. And I'll go ahead and do that. It doesn't matter if you have timestamps or not. We can just, if you talk about something and I can find it, we'll play it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I wish I had. I should have written down the timestamps. I slacked on that. I'm sorry. But yeah, if anyone is interested in doing it, they can go back through and, and find where he's saying this and that. He's very, he's twisted, but he's candid. And that to me screams psychopath
Yeah.
because there's no guilt. He had no guilt. He might have been. I don't think he was even mad that he was in jail. Did you?
No, no, I don't think he was. And actually, one of and this could be true or false, I don't know. But in my opinion, it seemed to me like he was probably more comfortable being in prison than out in the real world.
Yeah, he was. Well, he was safe in jail.
Yes.
Nobody could hurt him, and he could trust himself to be alone in a cell by himself and not hurt anybody else.
I think when he was out in the real world, he had no impulse control. And
Right.
so it was like he was constantly fighting himself not to be out trolling prostitutes and stuff like that, and getting himself in situations where he made really, really bad choices.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people who do better when every aspect of their life is controlled, and a psychopath with the problems that he has is definitely
Mm-hmm.
one of those people, I think.
I totally agree because he said I saw in probably four different articles that he would go out at night, kill, and then feel guilty in the morning.
Yeah.
Like he knew he'd done something wrong. He wasn't really feeling guilty, but he knew that he'd screwed up, and he didn't want to get caught or anything. So, but he just could not control himself.
Yeah, I don't think he so much felt guilty as he did just out of control and
Yeah,
like, oh God, now I'm gonna be in trouble, and I have to whatever. It just seems
I
like,
gotta hide the body.
yeah, now everyone's
Yes,
gonna be looking for me. But I
right.
think he also did like a little bit of that cat and mouse, because it seems like it really thrilled him when the police would talk to him, and he'd say they don't
Oh,
even know that they're talking to the killer.
right. Happy, happy, happy. Hello.
Hello,
Yeah,
Happy.
he loved the idea of fooling the police.
Yeah,
That he was one step ahead, and they said that he was always one step ahead,
yeah,
and that he took great pride in that. And if there had been a second serial killer with him, they would have been bragging and laughing it up. Sorry, that's my dog who is whining because I won't let him under the covers.
I can't hear him, so we're good.
He's whining. He wants to talk. Oh Lord. Yeah, the Long Island killer called the victims friends and family. How could you do that?
I am
That's
just changing up a few things here. You go ahead and keep talking. I'm
okay.
changing the title and getting the uh, video shared.
Okay. Great. Wait a minute. I'm getting messages. My mother just had knee replacement and she is on painkillers and as goofy as I'll get out. She said I had cirrhosis on my face instead of psoriasis. She said you need to be checked for psoriasis. But she said cirrhosis, and I got tickled, and she got mad at me because she didn't know what I was laughing at. Oh, my mother's a hoot. Oh, Lordy. So, who all we got in here? Let's see. Of course, we got Tally and Happy, 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 and Sugar and the Raw. Margie,
What is
hello.
what's the name of the thing you have to put up when you're going to be sharing someone else's video?
Oh, the copyright
Yeah,
infringement.
I need a place where I can copy that from real quick and paste it in.
Uh, who has that?
I can Google search it
Uh,
if I knew what it was called.
no, it's called a
Fair
copyright.
use. That's what it's
Fair
called.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you.
it's okay, hon. I usually have one at the beginning, but I've been live streaming and I don't do it. But you can pull it from any one of my regular videos. Tally, thank you for the idea. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's totally fair use because we haven't done anything but talk.
Yeah, and I'm going to be playing the documentary though, so
Oh,
I want to
okay.
make sure I just
Have it on hand.
yeah.
Oh, y'all, I had a 2.5 hour live stream and it went so well until I invited Lucy to come up and make peace. And she turned around and made a video about me and everybody that had been on the panel and calling us awful names. And I'm like, I knew this would happen. Try to do something nice.
No
But
drama.
no drama. But we did. We had the best live stream. It was fun. And it was all kind. And it was a good one. You should watch it. You would enjoy it.
Why? Oh, because I've got it on images. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You didn't get a notification, Will? I've got I've got a rogue mod and I've got to go fix my channel. It's all right though. Yeah, this was a really good idea. Janie, we should do this on a regular basis.
I think we should too.
I think it's something different. It's not drama and it's educational. And you know what? If you've got the thing is, if you've got a child in your class, in your family, maybe yours, who's doing these things as, a young child, maybe you take preventative measures and take them to a psychiatrist, child psychiatrist, and because we know what parts of the brain control different things. There may be things that you or I aren't familiar with, but that they can do. Maybe not now or in the future. It keeps people from getting killed.
I'm going to worry about putting in the fair use thing later, but I did change the title, and so I guess now we'll get started.
Okay.
And we'll act like we're starting from the beginning and that we were ready all along. That I wasn't a mess and disorganized.
Oh yeah, Whitty said you got an honorable mention on that stream. You did.
Who, I did or Whitty did?
No, on my stream.
What was my honorable mention? What did
about tonight?
Oh, okay.
Advertised tonight, and that how all of us are changing, and listen, this was one of the best streams I think I've ever been involved with. But we were excited about tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Yeah, because I had heard in your stream where you said you were excited and you were telling Mary what time, and I was like, wait, it sounds like we're still doing this. Uh-huh. But I know Tally had said you were sick, so I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
So, okay, so here we go. Tonight, you guys are all here. We wanted Tally up here to be our moderator and to keep us on topic. But she's not able to do that. But Beth and I, is it okay if I call you Beth?
Of course.
Okay. I don't like to call people mama something.
I know.
Unless it's like mama cat, because that's a mama kitty, Mm-hmm. But I feel like it's disrespectful to my mama to call another person,
I can understand that. Yeah, okay. Just call me Beth.
So it's not out of disrespect that I call you Beth.
No, just call me Beth.
We are going to analyze Arthur Shawcross, and of course neither of us has met this man, so we're not going to be diagnosing him. We're just going to be talking about what we think could be going on with him from our experience and our education, and then we're going to discuss with you his crimes and what you think. So we are not the end all be all. You guys chime in and let us know what you think is going on too, and we'll discuss all of that. So let me start this, and Beth, what I'll have you do is just give a shout out. If you want me to stop the video, I will stop it like maybe every 30 seconds to a minute, just so that we can discuss a little, so that we don't get, you know, a strike or anything. But we'll probably skip through some parts. And do you have anything you want to say before we get going? Beth? Are you there? I thought I heard her, but... All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and start this video.
Well, I can't hear nothing.
Okay, now you're back.
This is not good.
You're back. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the video, and we'll stop it every little bit so that we can discuss it.
I have no volume on this. Let
Can
me
you
see if
hear
I
me?
can pop back. Can you put the link back in the chat?
Yes, I will. Let me find the chat. Hi, Odessa. Hello, Deb. All right, I'm going to start the video while we're waiting on her so that we don't take too much time.
Thank you, Janie.
Are you back in?
If I can get on now.
Can you hear me?
Am I here?
You're here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, it just all of a sudden, it just faded away.
Did you have anything you wanted to say before we start the video?
Just for people, not just to think that this is a one and only guy. There are many, many serial killers out there that just haven't been caught yet. So if you're seeing red flag behavior, make note of it. You know, you could be living next door to a serial killer. Look at BTK.
That's right.
So that was my reasoning for wanting to go into forensics, and because it's better to know than not know, and I'd rather be a little suspicious than naive. So that's all I gotta say.
Okay, well, we're going to start the video then, and like I said, I'll start and stop it, you know, every little bit so that we can discuss and we don't get a strike or anything.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Sullivan Correctional Facility, just outside Fallsburg, New York State. It's a maximum security prison, home to some of America's most violent criminals. One of them is Arthur J. Shawcross.
He looks like somebody's grandpa.
Shawcross has murdered 11 women and is serving a 250-year prison sentence. His case has raised serious questions about what causes extreme violence and what we understand about the nature of evil itself. We've come to meet him face to face to see if he would tell us what made him such a violent killer.
People on the outside do not know what evil is.
Do you know what evil is?
Sure,
Are you evil?
somewhat.
Rochester, New York State, 30 miles from the Canadian border. It's a provincial city of 1 million people, sat amongst the gorges and falls of the Genesee River.
Okay, so since it was near the Genesee River, that's why he was called the Genesee River Killer. Also, you'll probably notice in just this little bit that we've watched so far that he has this tick with his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And we were discussing that earlier. You and I both agreed that it was probably caused from one of the many traumas he had had to his head.
Mm-hmm.
And you even mentioned that his MRIs and scans show that there is damage to different areas of his brain.
The prefrontal cortex, frontal cortex, and the amygdala
Yeah.
are all damaged, severely damaged.
Now, here's what I wonder, Beth, and maybe you can enlighten me, because when I noticed that his amygdala was showing difference, I thought, is that due to a head injury, or is that due, wasn't it, was it smaller or
It was
larger?
it was smaller and it was like shriveled like a bean.
Yeah, and so what I was thinking is, instead of some sort of outward injury, could that be due to like some kind of chemical thing going on in his brain?
It can. We know that everything from pot to opioids, meth, LSD, they affect different parts of the brain differently. Like people who have borderline personality disorder can't smoke pot. No. But the amygdala in schizophrenics is often smaller, and they attribute the onset of some schizophrenics. You know how it happens, like late teens, early 20s. They're finding a link between drug use, because that's when the kids go off to college, and they start trying things out, and but they're finding a link. They haven't proven it yet, but I I I think he has done some drugs and has probably done damage. He could have had a severe head injury though, that hit right there and just basically cut off blood supply and shriveled.
Yeah, see,
So,
that's what I was thinking more of, like some sort of supply issue to the amygdala.
hmm
Because actually, when you look at the brain, in my estimation, the amygdala is pretty, what's the word I want?
it's
Pretty,
deep.
it's insular, it's
hmm
protected by other tissues. And
By the
so, like,
bone and tissue.
yeah, and so a head injury to the prefrontal cortex is completely understandable, because
Right.
you bump your head or someone hits you in the head with a board or something. But the
hmm
amygdala is so central in the brain that I would think it's protected enough that it would have to be like some blood supply shortage, or, some kind of a chemical thing to cause it to shrink.
I wonder what kind of chemical would do that. I wonder.
Maybe, well, and this is where you start speculating a lot, because with the XYY syndrome,
hmm
maybe testosterone.
It could be. I didn't think of that, but or it could be over having too much testosterone will make you extremely aggressive.
Yeah,
And if he's killing from the time basically of puberty, I mean, his first kill was in his teens when he killed he killed two children and then injured one.
I thought he
And
was 27 when he did that.
um, I can't remember. I'm blanking. But
I thought I wrote it down.
if you have too much testosterone, you're going to you get mad quick, anger issues, and that could definitely cause someone to murder and not care.
Yeah, and the lack of impulse control,
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
the aggressiveness. So I'm thinking, there, and this is why I wish like we had access to his records when we do this, because I
hmm
would love to dig into them and see what his testosterone levels were, and stuff like that. Because while we think of psychology as being something that, is just has to do with how your mind works and all that, our physiological and biological responses to physical problems, like
hmm
a chromosomal disorder, uh,
hmm
affect all of that.
Everything's connected.
Yeah, and so it's like when you start pulling one little string in a case like this, you get like a whole. You can pull it forever,
Yeah,
basically.
you find one thing and then another and then another and then another, and that I think that's an excellent suggestion that it may be testosterone.
Are you good?
because that would go directly to the amygdala, and and that would account for the violence and impulse control, and all of basically everything that he did. The hypersexuality, and usually with that syndrome, and I always forget the name of it, but where you have the extra chromosome, usually the genitals are small, and they're underdeveloped, and there's not a hypersexuality unless there are other things going on, and um too much testosterone won't account for that.
Yeah, I would think so too. And that's why I wanted to throw that out there to you, because I'm thinking, okay, so we've got damage to the amygdala from something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I said, the amygdala is pretty centrally located and protected. Even though you can get damage to it from like a car accident or something, it
Oh
has to be
yeah,
something pretty significant to get that deep.
an
Or,
axe would take care of it.
yeah. And I was going to say that, or like when they put a probe in there when they're doing surgery,
Right.
something like that. So yeah, I'm glad that you think that maybe, the excess Y gene could have been causing some kind of chemical or hormonal reason for that.
It just makes sense.
What is someone saying trisomy? What is trisomy?
Oh, it's
I'm
the
I'm
three.
not familiar with that word. Let me look it up real quick because I do want to keep up with the chat.
I must have missed it.
Trisomy is a chromosomal condition characterized by an additional chromosome. Has 47 chromosomes instead of 46. That's the Down syndrome chromosome thing.
Yeah, that's a different
Yeah,
one.
this was actually an XYY. He had an extra Y chromosome, which, did make him have 47 chromosomes instead of 46, but it doesn't cause Down syndrome. So, although they do say it causes like a lower IQ, which he did have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
his IQ was just below normal.
see,
So
Evelyn, that's another thing. You're exactly right. Trauma, like emotional trauma, can damage the amygdala, and that would be hormonal or chemical damage to the amygdala, because the trauma would trigger some kind of imbalance. So yes, you are
yeah,
correct.
it can damage it. She's right. Yeah, but we know that different emotional and physical traumas have so many different effects on the brain. We don't even know them all.
Yeah,
Your abuse as a child, and it comes out when you're 60. You know, so we're still mapping everything out, and that's why it's hard with people like this dude. We don't have all the puzzle pieces, but we're
yeah,
trying.
yeah, yeah. And Evelyn, you're correct. I would have guessed that his IQ was right around 70. His IQ was actually tested. The one I give most credence to, his IQ was tested at 80. So
Hmm.
he wasn't, he would have been in that really lower level of normal. So,
Yeah, he that's I looked at several of the reports, and the tests say that he's just below normal. They could not, they could not call him anything but, because it was right there.
yeah.
But
And here's what surprises me with him having the neurological tick. Okay, so we know there's damage,
hmm
probably to the prefrontal cortex or the frontal lobe. What surprises me is how well he can remember everything.
he talks with a kind of a flat affect, but he remembers details that you wouldn't expect, someone with a much higher IQ to have. And he looks and acts. He mimics normalcy so well that it's scary. That scared me watching the interview as much or more. He looks like your grandpa,
Yeah.
and he acts like it, and he's just talking, but he's talking about murdering and eating. He ate the genitalia of two of his little girl victims.
Well, see, now this is something when we get to that, I'm going to disagree. I don't think that's true. And
Well,
the
he
reason I
admitted
don't
it.
think, I know, but, and this, I don't want to blow my ace in the hole too soon, but, because I think it's going to blow a lot of people away. He has a tell when he's lying.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to be able to point it out, because you're going to go, oh my God, you are right. And I'm going to be like, I know.
I thought I noticed it too, but I'm not saying it because I'm not gonna blow it, but I'm gonna see if it's the same one, and I promise I'll tell the truth. But I was watching these films and articles and stuff and interviews, and scared the shit out of myself until about 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
So
Okay, well, let's get back to this. And Evelyn, you are correct. 68, and I'm going to use the term because it's the term that's still used, and I am so sorry, but 68 is considered mental retardation level and IQ. For those who are more sensitive, let's say intellectual disability. 70 is considered borderline. Now,
right.
like you said, Evelyn, I would have put him like closer to 70.
Yeah,
That's
I was
not to say that
surprised, lady.
yeah, that's not to say that he is not extremely street smart. He is very street smart. And how to work people. I think he's extremely socially smart.
Very.
Emotionally, though, and intellectually, he's not very mature, though.
He would be the guy that sat at the gas station that everybody knew and nobody thought anything about, and everybody said hi to. He blends. He blends.
Yes.
And that is why at the beginning I said pay attention, because you don't know who your neighbors are.
Exactly. And
And
everyone
it's
probably just thought he was a grandfatherly type old man who wasn't very smart, and what damage is he going to do, right?
right. He's
So,
just gonna sit there, maybe drink a Coke, walk home. I don't think did he even have a car?
yes, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he drove from
I think it was his
Washington to
girlfriend's
Florida.
car, but yes. Because
Yeah,
he would cruise the strip at night and pick up
right.
hookers and stuff. So
That's right. He used her car to do it. But I was like, the man can't even. He couldn't hold a job. He couldn't buy his own car, But he just looks safe and friendly. And hey,
yep,
you wanna come hook up for $20? And then they end up dead in the ditch.
yep.
So,
Okay,
but
let's start
okay,
the video again. We
go
don't want
ahead.
to take too long, but I do want to talk every now and then so we don't get struck. So,
Okay, yeah, I don't want you getting us right.
all right, here we go.
It's a middle-class town, but it also has a dark side. Lyle Avenue is a mile-long drag through one of the city's run-down neighborhoods, home to its seedy red light district. In March 1988, women began disappearing from the strip. Dorothy Blackburn was a 27-year-old prostitute and mother of 3. Her body was found in a nearby riverbed. She'd been strangled to death. In July, Anne-Marie Stephan, a 27-year-old cocaine addict, also went missing. Her decomposed body was found on the banks of the Genesee River.
Anne-Marie Stephan. Do you remember meeting her?
I met Anne-Marie Steffens, I think, in front of the Finger Hut on Lake Avenue.
Do you remember killing her?
Yeah, possibly. I'm not going into details here. But
How did you kill her?
probably strangulation.
See, probably.
Probably.
Oh, I don't know. Just do. That's after they just relax. Body relax. Doesn't quite. It takes about 4 minutes, probably. Sometimes less than that.
To the outside world, Shawcross was just a regular guy. He lived here in this apartment on Alexander Street with his fourth wife, Rose. He worked nights at the local cheese factory and spent much of his free time fishing the banks of the Genesee River.
I'll just also say real quick that this was his fourth wife, Rose, they're talking about at this time. Mm-hmm. Another indication for the Xyy syndrome is inability to have stable relationships. Mm-hmm. So, there's another indicator that other things may be at play here than just, psychological, but physiological, because that would fit, the XYY chromosome. It would also fit someone who's had severe head traumas.
Right.
Having a problem with personal, close relationships and making them work.
Yeah, you hit somebody in the head, you can do more damage than you think.
Yeah.
His face and neck are one and the same, what he says.
He had a mistress, Clara, and was a regular visitor to Lyle Avenue.
He also had a mistress.
See, that's that hypersexuality.
You've got a mistress, and you're also seeing prostitutes quite regularly.
And other people.
Okay, so he's saying he had a fourth wife, a mistress, seeing prostitutes regularly, and then he says, and other people.
Yeah, you almost have to go, the dude's bragging.
And he's working at a cheese factory. When does he have the time to throw in serial killer?
I don't know. And went across the U.S. to do it. He took a break, went across to Florida, and, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, he was a busy boy.
And the thing is that some of the names of things don't make a whole lot of sense until you look at this, because you would think, oh my gosh, he has to be an organized serial killer, right? Mm-hmm. Which there's organized and disorganized.
Right.
But no, he fits the profile of a disorganized killer. But you think, how did he get away with this for so long, with all he had going on, and still be considered a disorganized serial killer? But that's because he was an opportunistic. He didn't plan. He didn't take like a kit with him. He didn't clean up afterwards. He didn't
have duct tape in his trunk.
Exactly.
And a hammer.
He wasn't Ted Bundy with his kill kit or BTK with his kill kit. And he didn't sit and watch people and plan. These were heat of the moment kills.
Right. And those are the ones that are hardest to find. Yeah. One of the things that I found, if you ever get a chance to take serial killers and mass murderers, the class, it's in the master's courses. If you ever get a chance to take that class, do. It's fascinating. It'll scare the shit out of you, but disorganized killers, they can't catch them. I mean, they caught this guy by accident.
Well, and a lot of disorganized killers, I think, this is my opinion, are still searching for the perfect kill.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know yet what they need from a kill to be satisfied.
Or how to do it, or how they want to see it done, or what trophies they want to take. So they just kill and see what happens.
So you're looking at possibly a different MO every time. He says he strangled, probably, is what he says. Okay, so maybe he did strangle all of his people that he killed. But one of them he slit from
the little kid.
Yeah, neck to pelvis.
Right.
One of them he what's the word I want? I can't think of it. Like when you deface a person, you no.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Not garrote. but he tore them all to pieces.
Yeah, and I can't think of the word
And
for
he tortured them until they died from their injuries. He didn't just go for a straight kill. See,
yes,
that's
and some of
why I
them.
said probably that there's the tell, because he's mixing it all up. He'd kill you with a gun, he'd kill you with a knife, he'd choke you to death.
Well,
You
some of
know,
them he put mud and dirt in their mouths and down their throats,
yeah, and
but he didn't do
some
that to all of them.
he cut
So
fingers off. It's
mutilate. There's the
yeah,
word I
he
wanted.
that's it. You and I are having brain farts at the same time. Yeah,
Exactly.
he would mutilate him, but then he didn't have a perfect victim either. They tried to say he liked all dark-haired women. Well, those were black and white photos, and he also killed children. So he killed all ages.
Yeah.
So there was no way to figure out who his next victim would be.
Well, and that's why his MO makes it difficult for people who are looking for him, the police and FBI and all that, because he's still searching for what his perfect kill is.
Right.
So one time there may be mud and dirt down their throats. The next time he may mutilate them. The next time he may sexually assault them afterwards.
Right.
So each time they're like, okay, but so who is this? Well, we don't know yet.
Yeah, we're
Because
still
he
figuring it
doesn't
out.
even know who he is as a killer yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think
And that comes from brain damage.
I think he did strangle all of his victims. I think.
Except there was one that he slit the throat and went all the
Yeah.
way down. You're right about that.
Yeah, but I think that was after she was dead, because he actually says, "This is a." We're not going to get to this whole video because I'm just going to tell you about the video. But this is the part where he says, when they're talking about that victim, she was someone who was probably classified as mentally retarded. She was very childlike.
Mm-hmm.
And he says it happened in a rage. Okay. And I'll tell you why it was not a rage. He says it was in rage, but I think that's just covering because he knows that killing someone who is childlike is heinous, or more heinous in his mind, than killing someone of regular intellect.
Right.
And what happened is he was trying to be sexual with her. She said no, that it was wrong, and she was going to tell, and he broke her neck. He said he just reached over and broke her neck. Then he sat there with her body all day. I think it was beside a lake, until it got dark. And when it got dark, that's when he decided to cut her open and then dispose of her body. So that doesn't sound like rage to me. Rage to me is quick. You, in a rage, you kill them, and then you realize what you've done and you get rid of it. But the fact that he sat with her body all day. Yes, exactly.
There's a panic after a rage. And yes, Whitty, I am very comfortable with this topic.
And so while we've brought up that she was childlike, I'm going to go ahead and float my hypothesis out there, okay, about the children. And you let me know your hypothesis about it. Because the big thing is, why doesn't he want to talk about the children? Why doesn't he want to talk about the children? Okay, for one, being in prison where he is, he knows if he admits to the children's deaths, that's a death sentence for himself. Okay, first of all, just put that off the table. But secondly, my hypothesis is that the children that he killed were his perfect kills. Okay, I think that those are sacred to him. He doesn't want to talk about them, and that is what he was looking for the entire time that he killed the other 9 people. That's why he was trying to get that same thing. I think to him, it was heinous that he killed children. Now, I don't think he felt guilty about it.
But he was a pedophile.
But I think he was aware that killing children was a disgusting thing to do. Yeah. So he was trying to relive that feeling he got when he killed the children, but with adults. And in that way, he's not going to talk about killing the children because those were his prizes.
Huh.
That's just my thoughts on it.
That's an
Like I said,
interesting hypothesis.
well, like I said, the obvious is that also it would be a death sentence to him in prison.
Very, very true. But
But when we get into his tell
mhm,
also happens when the person tries to get him to talk about the children,
mhm.
which
that
tells me,
that you may be right on it because okay, we know he was a pedophile. We know he raped and mutilated children, several. We're not sure how many, because obviously some got away. But that uh, that to anybody to be a pedophile, it, whether you're in prison or out, that is one of the most heinous crimes. And and then to kill children, that's beyond. So, adults get killed all the time, and people sometimes don't even think twice. You kill a child, and the town's going to hang you.
yeah,
But I think he had those basic instincts that he killed the children, and and mutilated or whatever, and it is so gross to even himself. There has to be something in his head that says what I did was too wrong to talk about.
yes. And yes,
So,
sugar, the children were his first two kills. He was caught. They made a deal with him that if he admitted what he had done to the boy,
hmm
that they would drop the charges on the boy and he would get less time for the little girl. So he did. And that's when he went to prison the first time. And he was let out early for good behavior and for somehow saving the life of a correctional officer while he was in there.
they should have kept his ass in there and think of the lives saved.
But I think what he
Oh,
learned from that first time, from the first two kills, the kids, and
hmm
doing his time, is that number one, that's going to get you killed in prison. And
yep.
number two is that they're going to look into the death of children quickly and with more interest than they are prostitutes and drug addicts.
They're more valuable.
Yes. So I think that he must have, maybe, this is again my opinion, made a deal with himself that killing children is heinous, but he still wanted that excitement of that kill.
Still want
Um,
to do it.
yes, so he was trying to find that same feeling with adults. And I think that's why he doesn't want to talk much about the adult who was so childlike, because he
Yeah.
knows that she wasn't a prostitute and she wasn't addicted to drugs and all of those things where he could justify what he did to her.
See, that's it. There's always with every serial killer. There's always even mass murderers. There's always a justification why they did it and why it was okay to do it and all of that. He never spoke about the children,
Yeah.
but the prostitutes were bad people, so he was going to go, get him a little, and then he was going to take them off the earth because they were trash, they were vile, they were, you know, he didn't think they belonged here, he didn't,
Yes.
or to live. So that was his rationalization, and there was nothing with the children. There was no reason
There
in it.
was no justification, exactly. And another reason that I think about this is that with the boy, who was the first one that he killed,
Mm-hmm.
he was found in a wooded area near railroad tracks. He was the only victim who wasn't found in water.
Mm.
He was also mutilated, like beyond recognition, and raped and all of that.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's something that was interesting to me. He raped everybody. It seemed like every one of his victims. Um, but usually if they rape women exclusively like he did, why one boy? Why one boy? And the boy was prepubescent, but he was still adult enough to have male, to look like a boy. In pedophiles, they usually don't have any kind of little girls still look like little boys. And that's how they get away with it for pedophilia. They just don't think about the gender. But that's why he is a disorganized killer, because a boy out of nowhere.
Well, in his first, I think that was his ideal victim, was a boy.
It had to be. And then he was searching from then on, but he wouldn't let himself admit to having any homosexual tendencies
Exactly.
because
Yes.
they're all afraid of that.
See, now you're pulling on the same string I am.
Yeah, okay. See, good. Because I was like, that makes no sense. Why kill a boy first and then all girls and women after, unless you're ashamed of that part of yourself and you're trying to get something back?
Yes, I think he is trying to say, okay, this is what I want, but it is so wrong.
Yeah, I can't do
which
this.
all of it is wrong, but he's
Mm-hmm.
a psychopath, so he's not going to admit that all of it's wrong.
Oh,
But he can put into place that these homosexual urges, or children, or adults who have the mind of a child,
mm-hmm.
are not fair game. But
Right.
if I can say she was a prostitute, or I can say she was addicted to drugs, or she stole from me, then I can justify it. And then I just have to find a means to make it as meaningful as the children. To get as much
I totally agree. That's exactly what I was thinking at 2:30 last night. I was like, he wanted the boy. He wanted the boy, but wouldn't allow himself to. So he got basically women that he thought were trash, and that he could take out and nobody would care about. And then but the children, he wanted too, a boy and children. And
Yeah.
I'm just thinking to myself, this sick fuck,
Yeah.
it hit me last night, but I'm glad you're on the same thread I am.
Yeah. So, like I said, aside from the obvious, he doesn't want to be killed in prison for what he did to children.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's more to it, in that the meaningful crimes were the ones against children. And he was always trying to find that satisfaction, or that level of high again.
Right.
And that's
he wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. That was his. And he was going to keep that to himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because those were like his sacred kills.
Yeah. But it was his secrets, and he ended that interview when they started asking about the children.
Yeah.
So, obviously had shame. He did have some shame somewhere deep inside. But to not care about any of the others, it blows you away when you start thinking about it.
Okay, let's play some more of this so we can.
Okay.
For almost 1 year, Shawcross killed no one. Then, in July 1989, police found the body of an elderly homeless woman, Dorothy Keeler.
Dorothy was found down on Queen Island on the Genesee River, and she was bones. So we really didn't know at the time why he killed her.
She used to live in my house, in my apartment, for a while.
Is she a friend?
She was. So she started stealing stuff out of the house.
And there's his justification for killing
her.
her.
Stealing, she needed money. I said, "You have a bank account." I was paying her $4.25 an hour just to clean the apartment.
So she was taking from you?
She was taking from me and my wife Rose.
Is that why we're killing her?
Huh?
Is that why we're killing her?
Well, to me it did.
But Shawcross didn't just kill Dorothy Keeler.
Mm-hmm.
He would later return to her dead corpse.
And he came back and visited. And he took her skull, her head, and threw it in the Genesee River.
After we killed her, you went back later to see the body. Is that right?
No, I went back to clean it up.
She was found with her head removed. Did you?
That's right.
How did that happen?
You just pick it up and move it.
Yeah, once it's rotted.
You just pull her head off.
Yeah, it was already on.
Shawcross had now murdered 3 women, but his blaze of terror had only just begun. In Rochester, New York State, the bodies of murdered women had begun appearing around the banks of the Genesee River. And throughout the autumn of 1989, the killings continued. On the 27th of October, Patricia Ives was found strangled to death behind the town's YMCA.
What a pretty girl.
And just 4 weeks later, the killings were to take an even more sinister turn.
You know, the one that I remember the most, and it's stuck with me all these years, is a young woman by the name of Jean Stott.
Yeah, this is the one who had the
June,
intellectual
was
disability.
not
Yeah.
but she was a little slow. She had acted much younger than her age. I think the thing that was most disturbing about it,
And this is where he talks
Is
about the
that-
rage and why, you know,
her
all
body
that.
was turned
So
over, she was on her stomach. And they turned her over, and he had come back and eviscerated her, cut her open right from the neck right down to the vagina.
That was a fit of anger. You know, we spent a day down Turning Point Park, you know, feeding the ducks and walking around and we were making out. And then she just flipped, you know, jumped up, says, I'm going to scream, I'm going to tell the cops. I had snapped her neck. Stayed there all day until dark. Then split her open from her neck to her groin. I didn't go all the way deep into the stomach area, just split her open. I don't know why.
Now, why would you
That
do
was
that?
really disturbing because if you're at that time,
well, and that's what I'm saying. You know, he says it was a fit of anger or whatever. But you know, a fit of anger doesn't last while you just sit there and wait until it gets dark.
Exactly. He would have, if it was a fit of anger, he would have snapped her neck and left.
Yeah.
There was no reason to eviscerate her. It makes no logical sense. If you've ever, and we've all had anger fits and rages and whatever, you act and then you leave.
Yeah,
Because you want
and
to get away.
usually if something's truly a fit of anger or a fit of rage, it's very short-lived
Very.
because you can't stay in that heightened sense of rage for very much longer than, you know, I can't imagine a true fit of anger or rage lasting more than 15 or 20 minutes.
Exactly. Same. And I've had fits of rage. And I mean, you can.
So
have
high.
fits. Exactly. I remember your kitchen. I love you, Janie. Just teasing you. Listen,
I
I've
know.
had fits of rages, and it's in my family. My family will go off, but it doesn't last hours.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you have to think of them kind of like an anxiety attack or a panic attack.
It's exactly what it is. Only it's just anger, and then you go
And it
through it, and it's
dissipates.
over.
You know, 20 minutes is going to be your max in that
Mhm.
heightened state of emotion.
Or your brain would explode.
Exactly. Or you'd have a heart attack or you know, something.
Well, I've had 4.
Well, that might be your fits of rage.
I didn't even know I was having them. I didn't even have any pain. I was just having them, and I just couldn't think right. Daniel called the ambulance. They said, "You're having a heart attack," and I said, "No, I'm not." But seriously, when you have a fit, even when a toddler throws a fit, I mean, and they last longer than any adult. Um, it's not going to last 3 or 4 hours till the sun goes down so you can slit her open. It makes no sense, but it makes sense to him.
Yeah, because that gives him justification. He couldn't handle it. It was a fit of rage because he has no other justification for this childlike person
Yeah,
to have been his victim.
right. So they sussed that out right quick.
Yeah.
His lies are not being told well.
No.
And that tells me he's having a breakdown. He's having a mental breakdown. And you see a lot with serial killers, people who have had brain damage and done violent things. They often go into dementia really early.
Mm-hmm.
Now he doesn't sound like he's getting dementia, but it sounded like he's not lying as well as he was.
Yeah.
So
All right, I'm going to speed it up just a little bit.
Yeah, because we talk a lot.
Yeah, and we're only 8 minutes into this thing.
Oh my God.
All right, so here we go again.
Oh, you realize we're cracking up over a serial killer.
Well, not so much over the serial killer, but at the absurdity of some of it,
Exactly. It's the surrounding things.
Yeah, it's
like,
taken. If you take the death of people out of the equation, this is just absurd and ridiculous that someone could justify like this.
Yeah, it's his behaviors that are just ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me that you killed 14 people, but there were reasons for all of them.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
We don't know what we're looking for. Now you got a guy who's certainly we believe the same guy, but his activities is increasing. When he's doing it at the scenes, it's becoming more severe all the time.
The killing of June Stoss was a turning point for the police. A pattern was now emerging. All of the murdered women were from vulnerable backgrounds. Most of them had been slowly strangled. The bodies were being dumped around the Genesee River, and the killer appeared to be revisiting and mutilating them. The Rochester police now suspected they had a serial killer on their hands, and they called in the FBI.
They were a little slow on that.
Yeah.
A lot of stress, a massive police involvement in this thing. There's no doubt in their mind they had a serial killer working up there. And so it's like walking into a pressure cooker. It's just intense.
Police were chasing down hundreds of leads, and yet somehow the killer still seemed able to blend into the background.
One of the big questions was, well, how's he getting these women? Prostitutes are scared to death, and they're being killed. Yet he seems to have no trouble getting. The answer is he's a regular client. They know him. They go with him. They have successful
Yeah, he's
sex.
an elderly man who's like a grandpa.
So they're not
Grandpa!
nice.
Come give me a 20.
We're trying to
He's
think,
got a
how
job.
can
He
these
lives in that
prostitutes
neighborhood.
make these mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that there is a
Same
perpetrator
car
on
all
the
the
street
time,
that
not
is
trying to hide.
attacking them right under police surveillance.
I think the prostitutes, and maybe to a degree, some of the investigators are looking for like a real weird guy or somebody really, really out of
They
sync
don't
with
look
what's going on.
weird.
In fact, it was just the opposite. You wanted to look for somebody who really was very much attuned to that scene and very comfortable in that environment.
Mm-hmm. And every hooker he ever talked to probably vouched for him.
Undercover police officers now poured into Lyle Avenue, posing as pimps and punters. But Shawcross wasn't fazed by their presence. He continued to hang out on the street.
I'm sitting on the stoop, and I got shiny shoes on, like a cop shoes, nice dress.
Here's where he's really proud of, fooling them.
Oh yeah, look at the grin. He thinks he's slick.
I thought it was hilarious. He didn't know who I was, but he had to open his mouth. He thought he was talking to somebody on the team.
And he was actually talking to the killer.
Yeah.
Oh, he's proud.
Who subsequently found out that he did hang out at Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh my God.
And the police would be in there
This
themselves
cracked me
talking
up
about
last night.
the homicide investigation and what they were doing, not giving up infinite details, but how they were focused on looking at every vehicle that went down the road and maybe writing down plate numbers and running data. He was listening to that information and
even told them that he had told his girlfriend to be careful out there because there was a bad guy out there that was picking up women and killing them.
All this
In the
time,
Dunkin'
Shawcross
Donuts.
kept up his normal routine,
Yeah.
working at the cheese factory, going home to loyal wife Rose. But the girls kept going missing. On the 17th of December 1989, June Cicero, one of the street's most notorious hookers, disappeared from Lyle Avenue.
She was the madam of the streets. She was the meanest prostitute in the city of Rochester, and they all respected June Cicero.
Shawcross had picked her up in the Chevrolet Celebrity that he borrowed from his mistress, Clara.
How did June Cicero? How did you kill her?
Strangle her. Mostly my left hand.
So you strangled them with just one hand.
Right there. Pressure point.
Shawcross drove the dead body of June Cicero out of town towards nearby Northampton Park.
It was snowing real bad one night. And I went out Route 19, I think it was, and I crossed over on 31, headed back toward the city. And there was no cars coming, and I just opened the door and pushed her out. She went over the bridge, knocked some snow down, went down in the water.
Jesus.
And he just closed the door and kept going.
No shame.
Nope.
The police were now to get a crucial break. While searching Northampton Park for the body of yet another missing woman, McCaffrey made a dramatic sighting.
We were less than 2 minutes into the flight from Northampton Park back to Rochester when we flew over Salmon Creek. And underneath the bridge, I could see a body frozen in the ice.
It was the body of June Cicero. And then McCaffrey spotted
They got
the
lucky
suspicious-looking car
finding that
on the bridge
body.
itself.
Well,
passenger
and
door
he
was
was
open,
stupid
and it
enough
appeared
to
that he
be
had
there
urinated
when they found it.
out of the car.
Yep.
And that's what we
He
could see.
said he was
And
just peeing
as
and
the
he
helicopter
forgot
flew
that he had
by,
put a
he
body
closed the
there,
passenger
but
door
I don't believe that. I
and
think
slid
he
across
is
into the driver's seat
defending
and
his
started to
ego. I
proceed,
think he knows he got
he
caught and he
through
doesn't want to
on
be
Route
seen
31.
as stupid.
Right.
It was what the
He
police had
was
been waiting
peeing
for.
on his
FBI
territory
profilers had highlighted the killer's
Right.
pattern of returning to the dead bodies,
like a
and McCaffrey
dog.
decided to follow the Chevrolet.
As I was driving to Spencerport, the helicopter was flying above me. It didn't dawn on me what was going on.
But the
He knew
body
exactly
of
what
June
was going
Cicero
on. He says it
was
didn't
Yeah.
dawn on him that he
very
forgot that
close
he
to
had
where you
left
were
the
on the
body
bridge.
there,
And
but
that was just down the road away.
He doesn't forget
I didn't
shit. We
register
can
what
tell
was
that
going
from this interview.
I forgot she was there.
yeah.
There's that tail.
Yep.
If you
It is
kill
my belief
somebody, you're going to
that
remember where you left them.
Shawcross
Uh-huh.
returned to
He
the
went
bridge
back to visit the body.
to
Mhm.
make sure that the
And
body
pee
was
on it.
far enough under the bridge so we couldn't observe it.
As the body of June Cicero was recovered from under the ice, the driver of the suspicious car was taken into questioning by police. 21 months into their investigation, police had now finally pulled in Arthur Shawcross. And when they ran his name through the system, they found an astonishing personal history, a trail of murder stretching back almost 20 years. Shawcross had grown up around Watertown, 100 miles east of Rochester. In May 1972, an 8-year-old girl, Karen Hill, was reported missing. Fearing
This
she
is so
drowned,
sad.
police began searching the banks of
Yeah.
the Black River.
And we went over the bank, and I went on one side, Officer Passer went on the other side, and he says, "Here she is." I walked over under the bridge, and we saw this little body buried with the stones on her, and her little feet sticking up.
Aw.
We knew she was dead because the whole upper torso was buried in rocks, and she was dead. You know, she was cold. And
And those guys are tough policemen, you have to understand. You know, they were walking up from the embankment and just shaking their heads. I heard one of them say, he stuffed her mouth with dirt and mud to
See,
keep her quiet.
A sniffer dog led the detectives from the body of Karen Hill to Clover Street.
And
the
he
home
would
of Arthur
repeat
Shawcross.
that with one of the adult
Shawcross was then
victims
27
too,
years old, and was living with his
which
third
is
wife,
what
Penny.
leads me to believe that,
He
you
had a
know, he
troubled
was looking
childhood
to
and a history
relive
of
those
petty
first two
criminality.
kills.
He was arrested.
yeah,
for
I
working
remember
for
reading that too.
Well, he was a lot different then. He was thin.
That was
just out
his
of the army.
perfect kill, his first one.
He was in good shape.
His first two,
Looked
yeah,
like
the
he had
little
very
boy
strong
and the
arms,
little
very
girl.
strong hands.
And he was always trying
And
to
when he was
relive them.
agitated, really agitated, he was scary.
God, they
You
should have
wouldn't want to
kept
be
him in
room with
prison.
alone. He looked a little strange, to be honest with you. And I did not get in the cell with him like I ordinarily would. I would always stay outside the cell, so we had steel bars between us and talk to him there.
Police now spent 3 days trying to get Shawcross to admit his guilt.
And it appears that he made some sort of a confession. It wasn't a airtight confession. He said something to the effect either I could have done it or I might have done it.
What did you do to young Karen Hill?
I ain't seen. I told you I wouldn't talk about that. I wasn't talking about anything that happened in Watertown.
Yep.
Why not?
Because I make that. I'm not talking about anybody in Watertown.
But you can see the little bit of a smirk he gets on his face, like it brings him joy just remembering those.
But another child was missing
Yeah,
too.
it does, and it also
4 months
he's
earlier,
in
10-year-old
control.
Jack Blake had also
He's in
disappeared.
control of the police.
Shawcross had often
Yeah.
gone fishing
Not
with
the
the young
other way around.
boy, and police suspected
Yeah,
him of
like
responsible.
I've got
They
something
had
you
no
don't
hard
know, and
evidence.
I'm not going to tell
With
you
only
because
vague
it's
confession
mine,
linking him to the death of
Right.
Karen Hill,
and you
police
can't
decided
have
to
it.
offer Shawcross a deal.
Yeah, and you can't
Tell
make
them what
me
he'd
give
done
it
to
up.
Jack Blake and face a lesser charge for the murder of Karen Hill.
So we had a conference in which Mr. Shawcross explained to them what happened, what he did, and how he killed the Blake boy. This was part of the plea bargain arrangement. He would explain that case for them.
Shawcross directed police to the body of the young boy, which they found by train tracks just out of town. He was naked, and it seemed he'd been raped before being strangled to death. But as part of his plea bargain, Shawcross wasn't charged with the killing of Jack Blake and faced a reduced
Very
charge
similar
for the killing
looking
of Karen
little
Hill.
boy.
Yeah. Hey, Nocturnal.
Mr. Shawcross pled guilty to manslaughter. He was
Oh,
given a
that little
maximum sentence
girl's
of 25 years.
face.
Oh, the
Just
public was
haunts
outraged.
me.
They were furious, and they were very upset about the plea bargain. I'm sure the public wanted a murder conviction.
People wanted justice, and no matter, the law had to be upheld, and nothing could be done more
Hey,
than what was
Nocturnal.
done. It was terribly frustrating for everybody. Not more could have been done.
Shawcross served less than 15 years of his sentence before being released on parole in April 1987.
And I want to
Just
say
15
right
months later,
here,
he had
let
settled in
me
Rochester,
stop
and his
this
trial
real
of murder
quick.
had begun again.
I want to say right here that every psychologist who was on his parole hearing said that he should not be released.
And they don't listen.
No, they went ahead and released him because he had saved the life of a correctional officer.
And he saved one life and took how many?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what pisses me off. I was just like, okay, he saved the life of a correctional officer. That was probably an act.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, look what a good guy I am. I'm reformed.
Well,
And
it
then
makes
he
you
goes out
think
to kill again.
someone as sneaky as him may have set the whole thing up.
Could
So
have.
that it would look good at his parole hearing.
Absolutely. Oh, I've been reformed. I'd never do anything to hurt anybody again. I saved a correctional officer, and just so he can get back out on the street.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the incident was, but let's just say he knows his parole hearing is coming up within the next 90 days.
Yep.
And so he says, hey, I need you to attack this guard, act like you're going to shank him, and I'm going to save him.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's very possible because he's sneaky.
He is. He's very sneaky.
I just think, why didn't they should have listened. Nobody listens to the fucking psychiatrists and psychologists.
They all think they're
Does anybody ever
wackadoos.
listen to me?
They're
Okay.
wackadoos. They don't know what they're talking about.
Oh yeah, they're all into psychology and they think crazy stuff. But you know what? Maybe you should listen sometimes.
Yeah,
And
but I just wanted
I've
to point that out, that every
Yeah.
single psychologist on the review board said no.
And they don't listen. Why did
Nope.
they hire them?
I don't know. I guess to make it look.
I got to work in a prison, for a little bit, and nobody listens. Nobody listens to shit. And so okay, whatever. Just don't listen to me. I only paid how much money for this education, and and you've got me in here, and I'm working towards getting everything done. But don't listen to shit.
That's right.
Don't listen to nothing I say.
All
Tell my
right.
kid this all the
I'm
time
gonna
too.
start. I'm gonna start this back. We can talk over it as we can, but I needed to stop
Okay.
it and talk a little bit so that nobody missed what is said.
Okay.
Had Shawcross been held responsible for murder in the second degree and received what would have been a well-deserved maximum sentence of 25 to life at the time, I know one thing as sure as I'm sitting here, he would not have committed these other homicides.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Now, armed with the knowledge of the Watertown killings, the police in Rochester were convinced they had their man, and they began to put the screws on Arthur Shawcross.
There were several of the prostitutes that were still missing, and they played on that, the interviewers, and they said, look, Art, there's girls out there that are missing that we know you killed.
They had a stack of photographs of the victims, like a bunch of playing cards.
He took the stack and like a deck of cards, dealt out the ones that he was responsible for.
And then they went back and talked to him about each one, and we gave a confession to each and every one.
Why did you confess to it?
Hi, Miss OMG.
Why? I just got tired of it after 14, 16 hours there.
Hi, Miss OG.
All what was coming at me. I just couldn't handle it.
True, Happy.
Police now had their confession, and Shawcross was charged with the murder of 11 women.
Darlene Scrippy, June Scott, Anna Steffen, Dorothy Blackburn.
As he was sent for trial, there was no doubt that he had committed the murders, but why had he done it? As medical experts began to examine him, serious questions emerged as to whether or not Arthur Shawcross might actually be insane. Arthur Shawcross had now been arrested and was awaiting trial for the murder of 11 women.
Well, let's face
There was
it,
no
sane
doubt he had
people
killed
don't
them,
murder.
and his defense team now
how
set
many
about
people?
exploring the fundamental question. What made Arthur Shawcross act so violently?
Everybody knows there's something wrong with Arthur Shawcross. He's not a normal person. Everybody, you know that just from the beginning. So what is it? Could there be something neurologically wrong with him?
Neurologist Jonathan Pincus
Exactly.
examined of numerous serial killers and believes
See,
that
here we
damage to
go.
certain areas of the
Nicola.
brain is a major factor in causing extreme violence. The brain scan of Arthur Shawcross fitted this pattern.
If you have a lesion on the MRI, you've got an abnormality in the EEG coming from exactly the same place, and behavior that's rather bizarre that comes from this part of the brain. I think it's likely that the abnormality of the brain has something to do with his behavior. So much that I think that had he not been neurologically abnormal, I think he probably would not have been a serial murderer.
But brain damage alone is rarely decisive.
If and a
Shawcross
but.
was also subjected to an in-depth examination
Yeah.
by a senior Yale psychiatrist.
What we discovered and then were able to verify was the fact that he was horribly mistreated sexually as a child. In the course of the interviews, he relived some of that experience, which was out of his conscious awareness.
Dr. Lewis led Shawcross through a series of interviews, some conducted under a form of hypnosis.
Now, I got to stop this real quick before
Yeah.
they... Hold on.
I was
Oops.
going to ask you
Why
to.
are you holding your penis?
Okay. Right up front, I'm going to be very clear with you. I don't know what your beliefs are, but I don't like this. I don't like the whole under hypnosis thing. I think it's easy to fake. And
Yep.
this is the first place where I saw the tell. He does not twitch a single time. His eyes do not twitch a single time while he's under hypnosis.
Right.
It's something that's neurological. And I could maybe rule it out if this was one of the thing, just a one-time thing. But it
Mhm.
happens again later when he's telling a lie. He does not twitch a single time when he's lying. So what
'Cause
this
it's
tells me,
deliberate.
exactly, he's thinking. He's not remembering. He's thinking.
Yeah, he's
And
working
there-
it out.
Exactly. There is some sort of shut off to his neurological twitch when it's something that's deceptive, that he has to think about, that he has to concentrate on.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens
I'll agree
during
with you.
hypnosis as well.
When I saw this last night, I was like, he's not hypnotized.
No.
He's holding his penis. He's talking about being molested as a child and trying to get out of, going to jail for God knows how many years.
Exactly.
And his face is perfectly still.
Yep, because he's concentrating on the on giving them the story that he wants them to have. These are not memories.
Right.
This is thought.
Absolutely. I don't believe in hypnotherapy. I'll be honest with you. I had a professor in college that had, I don't know which degree, but in hypnotherapy, it was so full of shit.
Yeah.
It's the first
I
person I
think
knew that died of
maybe
AIDS too.
I think maybe on a rare occasion it can be helpful, but in all reality, I think it's kind of just a bunch of bull honky.
I agree with you there. I think if you relax enough and you let your mind start to drift, you're more prone to tell truths, less likely to think ahead about a lie. But no, do you not remember what you said? Bullshit. Do
Right.
you not have control? Bullshit.
Well,
Uh,
I would say that
and
we agree on that then. I was kind of
yeah,
afraid to say I think it's bullshit
yeah,
because I
it's
didn't know how you felt about it and I didn't want to offend you.
no.
But
I'm glad you spoke up because, and let me tell you, you get a hypnotherapist like the professor I had. They can maneuver your answers and shift you around, and they can work with the person to get them off of whatever crime or whatever. But this guy is not hypnotized.
no.
I would bet anything on it.
And again, the lack of the neurological tick,
Yep.
that tells me that he's activated a different part of his brain for this. It's
Yep.
not coming from true memory. It's coming from a place of deception.
Uh-huh. And why are you holding your penis? Well, I'm thinking about being molested as a kid. Really? Who thinks about it and stimulates themselves?
Yeah.
It's so yeah. You and I are on the same page.
Okay. Back to this then.
Okay.
Mark, what's happening? Mom. What's happening? What did Mom do?
Mom's got me.
Mom got you now?
Not a single twitch.
Nothing. Yeah.
Okay, and what's happening?
She started kissing me.
And what's happening? Why are you crying, Mark?
Hurts.
What hurts?
She squeezed me.
And what do you say to Mom? What do you say?
No.
What do you
Stop. Stop. No.
What did your mother do?
My mother gave me oral sex. She performed oral sex on me for several years.
Oh, here's the twitch back.
Yeah.
And when I was 14 years old.
And I do
of
believe
course,
that he
I ran
was
away.
probably sexually abused. I don't believe
note on
that
my
it's
pillow
like
in
he
my bedroom.
says.
I'll go
No,
upstairs,
I
just
don't.
turn around
Yeah,
and look at it.
it's
I
bullshit.
just didn't want to go home.
What he's feeding them.
Because you were being abused.
He's worked out the story
Yes, sure
now.
will.
He, very young, he ran away from home. He used to hide under the teacher's desk. He was an extremely
Yeah,
bizarre
I
and troubled
agree that he
child.
probably had a
very
very
young.
traumatic
So
childhood
that
and that
there's
there was
Right.
no tendency
abuse.
to
Well, if he was killing animals and all that other shit, they probably beat the
abuse.
shit out of him. That
Dr.
was
Lewis
back in the
argued that the
day.
brain damage had caused him to suffer a phenomenon known as partial seizure.
And now this is just total bullshit.
Just prior to the murder,
This
there was
partial
some
seizure
event,
thing. He
very
sees a
often
bright
Yeah.
light and then wakes up and there's a
some
dead
threat
body next to him.
where
Hello.
you
No, it
say,
doesn't
"Oh,
happen that
I'll kill
way.
your wife," or
Nope.
How is he recalling all of this for us if he sees a
Right,
bright
right.
light, blacks
If he
out,
was in a
Then-
wakes up
seizure.
with a dead body?
No, he would wake up.
I've had
And
how
he
many
would wake up
seizures? I
often
don't
in
remember
his car,
shit.
And he would look beside him, and there would be
Exactly. You'd have someone who was saying, I don't know what happened. I don't
knowledge
know
of
what
he was
happened.
doing,
Right.
control
Because you
over what he
don't.
was doing.
You lose the
Defense
memory
experts
of it.
argued that, like many other serial killers, Shawcross suffered a toxic combination of physical and mental damage.
I would say it's three things interacting. It's brain damage, mental illness, and the experience of having been abused.
I think that's
Every one of
true,
those
but
things
I
is
think
Yeah.
that they're,
a factor in it. They interact. So
they're
if you didn't have
really
one of them,
playing up
the
some of
likelihood
this.
violence would be
They're playing up the
The
sexual
defense
abuse
entered a plea of not guilty by means of
because
insanity.
everybody would
In
feel
essence,
sorry
they
for him,
argued that
saying, "Oh,
Shawcross
he
was
was
not responsible
molested
for his
as a
actions.
child.
It was an argument that
He
provoked
raped
derision from both prosecution and
kids
police alike.
Few things
and
are more
killed
tragic
people."
than the murder of a beautiful theory by a gang of brutal facts. And I think that's the answer there. It's a beautiful theory, but it was just laid low by the facts.
Claimed his mother put a broom handle, inserted it into his anus, and shoved it up, was his description.
Now you would end up in the hospital with that, with tears.
Would result in major trauma.
Yeah, you would have had
There's no
an
evidence
anal
of any such
tear
trauma.
or a, you know, a bowel tear.
Absolutely.
She questioned, why is he saying
Colorectal.
this?
And become
Why
septic.
are they claiming these things?
Your mum is obviously
Yeah, he would have had to have. There would have to be medical documents.
You picture what would happen to a person. She admitted she did shit like that to me.
I mean, they say, you know, ask Dr. Shawcross say, well, there was no sexual abuse when you were younger.
How they know? I know because I was there. I know what I had to go through.
Notice how his twitching stops and
They
starts.
say they checked all the medical records.
I didn't have medical records when my mother was abusing me. You think my mother took me to a doctor because she was giving me oral
You would
sex?
have had to if you were bleeding out your ass.
If he was lying and he hadn't been sexually abused, that would confound you.
It would indeed. It's almost inconceivable that he was not sexually abused.
Crucial to the defense case was the argument that Shawcross's mental seizures meant he had no knowledge of what he was doing.
If you didn't know what you were doing at all,
He knew what he was
why do you
doing.
make efforts to hide anything? Why do you deposit the bodies in a Genesee mortuary where they're less likely to be found? I think all those facts really speak to someone who knew exactly what he was doing.
Prosecutor thinks that his upbringing was completely normal. This is just a man who was bad. He's evil. And he killed those women because he wanted to do it and he enjoyed doing it. That's not normal. No matter what the prosecutor feels is normal, that's not normal.
Is somebody who kills a person mentally ill? Probably. Is somebody who kills 11 people here and has killed 2 kids before got issues? Absolutely. But that's not the claim. It's not the argument that they're not in some way disturbed. The issue is you don't qualify for an insanity defense. Shawcross knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And if you know it's wrong, then you're responsible for your acts. That's the way it works.
During the trial, the defense also argued that Shawcross had been brutalized by his experiences as a soldier in Vietnam.
Now, this is
What
his
happened in
biggest
Vietnam?
tell. His face completely stops twitching while he's telling these
I went to
stories.
Vietnam as a weapons specialist. And I had my own bunker and just outside of Kon Tum, Vietnam.
Totally quit. Yep.
Shawcross claims he often ventured out into the jungle as a one-man unit, hunting down enemy Viet Cong.
And I see a woman in her 30s coming down this hill carrying 2 AKs on this side and 2 AKs on this side, barrel down. So I reach over my shoulder like this, right behind my neck, and I pull out a brand new machete. When she backed out, I come up behind her and took her head right there. I took a couple of hits, but the head came off. She body dropped to the ground, she just bled out.
He claims he then set about cooking the dead woman's body to extract information from her friend.
I split the body in half. Opened up a pouch and I had some C4 plastic explosives, lit a cigarette, just touched it and it started lit up like a miniature sun.
But again,
He
this is
would've-
coming from a place that's not true memory.
Right. He would have blown
into the flesh
himself
itself.
up if he
You know, just
touched
staring at her
C4.
eyes, and she urinated and defecated on herself. And she talked to me and broke it in English, so she told me everything I wanted to know. I go in,
After
I
he put
report her in,
C4 in her.
the colonel,
Mm-hmm.
And
he
blew
gets
her up,
and he
and
says,
he would have
"You're
blown
a
himself
sick son
up.
of a bitch," but I
Yes,
wasn't.
Tally. Now you see why I was like so excited. I was like, I found his tail. Yes.
There was no indication he ever went out and shot anyone, much less
No
scandalized
blinking,
or
face
did any of the
doesn't
things he claims
move.
to have done.
No
But despite his
expression.
vivid recollections of combat,
And when he's
Shawcross
done,
found
after
few
he
comrades
stops
in
talking,
Vietnam.
he does that.
But I can't remember.
That tick
nobody's
comes
name
back
in
with a
Vietnam, and that
vengeance because
messes
it's
me
been
up.
stressed.
War often
Yep.
forms very close relationships.
There it
You didn't
goes.
form friendships with anyone out there?
No.
You don't remember anyone's name?
No.
How long were you there for?
13 months.
What was your official position in Vietnam?
I was a specialist, weapons specialist.
He had to think.
We were able to
Mhm.
actually track down in preparation his commanding officer, Sergeant, I think I remember his name, Sergeant Weaver. He was a supply clerk. He didn't go out on these secret missions.
Now, I'm not a bullshitter. Anything I tell you is facts of life. If you don't believe it, that's your prerogative. You can do what you want. You know, everybody reads what they want, believes what they want. You know, and here's what they want.
The Army usually
After
doesn't
hearing
lie.
3 weeks of evidence, the
No,
jury
not
were
usually.
unconvinced by the argument that Shawcross was insane. They found him guilty on all the counts of murder. He was sentenced to 250 years in jail. Shawcross has spent the last 18 years in a maximum security prison. He's confounded numerous attempts by psychologists to understand him, and like many other serial killers, his crimes have given him a macabre notoriety.
I get letters from
Right,
over the world.
Tally. Yep.
I get a lot of college students, college professors, doctors, lawyers, psychiatrists, psychologists.
And he's talking himself up here too. And in this part, he's not twitching.
You
He's
see him as
lying
something of a
again.
celebrity here.
He's
doesn't
lying and
get-
bragging.
Of course.
Yes, he doesn't get all that attention. He wishes he
Well,
did, but he wants,
Well,
you
everybody
know,
knows what I'm
again,
here for.
he's lying. He's being
You enjoy the
deceptive.
attention.
Charles Manson gets how many letters a day, and this guy gets probably none.
And
And
from
it
his prison
pisses him
cell,
off, I bet,
Shawcross
so he
continues
makes
to
up
invent
lies.
ever more imaginative justifications for his killing of the women.
And
of
again,
Rochester.
when he stops talking and the lie is
When
done,
I picked
he
those
has
women up,
that
I thought I had
severe
AIDS. Because one of the women who stopped
rebound
me told me one of the
twitch.
women I took out was HIV positive. I didn't know which one of them were, so I went back and picked up all the ones I dated in 2 streets in Rochester, and I started killing them.
See, it's back, and then
Well,
he
when I
stops.
took vagina of 3 and ate it.
Yep.
Why? I
And
don't
this is
know.
when he's
Probably
talking
to
about the
speed up
vagina. This is why I
idea
didn't
of,
believe that he'd ever done that either.
Well,
the
didn't
AIDS.
he do that to extremely young girls?
I don't think so.
So you thought he
I'll
might
have to look it up, but
kill you quicker.
Probably.
why would you do that if
There's
you
not a lot
thought
of
that
people
gave you
I've spoken
AIDS?
to have eaten human flesh.
To eat a raw steak. Or eat a steak, you got the fat on the end of it.
Yeah.
Similar.
I think he's just doing that to sound like a
And when you were hauled
badass.
in by the police,
Uh,
did you make any
maybe
mention of
so,
the
yeah.
HIV?
No, sir, I did not.
I suppose it's because some people might say, well, isn't that just an excuse to justify killing?
You believe what you want to believe. I told you how I killed, why I killed. You don't want to believe it? That's up to you.
One thing, however, remains a taboo subject: the killing of the 2 children in Watertown.
You're prepared to talk about what happened in Vietnam and killing all these prostitutes. But I'm just wondering why you're prepared to talk about it and not Watertown.
I don't want to talk about it. You say one more question, I leave.
Certainly he knows how we all feel about murdering children. It's just, obviously, probably the most reprehensible thing anyone can do. And he understands that, but the problem is he can't justify it. He can't come up with a selling point or a way to mitigate that. So he's just not going to talk about it.
But I think
But in
there's more to it.
2001,
Like I said, I
someone
think
was
those
trying
are
to
also
Shawcross's
his
life,
perfect
who'd forced
kills.
him to confront his
Those were the
darkest
ones
demons,
Yeah.
that
the
he
daughter never knew
resonated
he had.
with, you know.
He wanted to repeat it, but was afraid to, I guess,
Yeah.
or was
In
too ashamed
2001,
to. But
Arthur
I
Shawcross received
totally
dramatic
agree.
news. Whilst on leave from the army in the early 1960s, he had a brief romance with a woman in Hawaii. 40 years later, the child from that relationship, Maggie Deming, discovered who her father was and decided to make contact.
Oh my God, no!
My husband at first was like,
I
don't go
can't
there.
imagine.
Do you realize that he killed children? And I said, well, I can't just shut the door on this. This is a part of my life that I just can't close the door.
What did you feel when you met him for the first time when you went to prison?
I know it's terrible to say this, but I
apprehensive,
have to wonder
nervous.
what's wrong with his daughter.
I didn't know
I
what
mean,
to
I can
think,
understand
what to
wanting to
say.
make contact like once. Go meet him.
Go meet him to a glass.
Yeah, and be like,
Probably
yeah,
hard
you're my
enough
dad,
on
I'm your daughter, whatever. But she built a relationship and makes her kids stay in contact with him.
See, and that tells me there's a genetic
What about your daughter, Maggie?
component to what he is.
I seen her.
Or, there's something wrong with the way she's been raised as well.
Could be.
She
Because
has
he did have 4 wives, and,
you want to know, but you're not
I
going to get
doubt any one of them is completely sane
it. You know what you're talking
if
about.
they were with him.
Things that happen in that other place. Right.
Well, like I said, I can certainly understand wanting to make contact once and say, you're my father. Is there anything you need to tell me? I'm your daughter. Here's what I want to tell you. Have a great life. Goodbye.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to be between him and his maker.
Maggie has 7 children of her own, and she's been keen to make sure that they too have a relationship with their imprisoned grandfather.
Did they say 7 children?
7.
Or several.
My younger children don't.
I heard 7.
My father kind of said to me, it's best that the younger ones don't know, but sooner or later they're going to find out. They don't really advertise the fact that their grandfather is a serial killer.
Both Maggie and the grandchildren have become regular visitors to Shawcross in prison.
Do you love Maggie?
No way.
Do you love your grandchildren?
Right. I write to them all the time. They send the grandchildren, the kids in school, they send me their school tests and different things, what they do in school, send me pictures. And I draw their picture. I do.
Yeah, they really
I
are
would-
nocturnal.
I would
This is a horrible thought, but I
question
mean, if someone were to,
her
rape and
her
kill your
ability as
grandchildren,
a
what should
mother.
happen to them? That's up to the law. But what do you think should happen to
To me, it almost
the
seems
law?
abusive to force her children
would
to
you
have a
think as a
relationship
father
with
and
them.
That's what I would
would
say
be
if I was, working with DCF
Do
and
you have any
her, and
comprehension of
she's
the
having
suffering that
contact
you've
and
brought
forcing them.
families of the
I
people
would
that you've killed?
I would
I don't have
have
any
the
remorse.
children, evaluated and possibly removed because she's not.
But I
She
find it
is
strange
not
that
logical.
you clearly feel affection for your daughter and your
I know.
You
grandchildren.
don't
Strange.
You
introduce
can't
your
feel
children
any
as
empathy for all
criminals,
those people that
much
families,
less serial
all
killers.
the people that you killed.
Well, and again, it's a matter of saying, this is your grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
and you're 14
Like I
years
said,
old,
on
and
one
if you
side, the other
decide
side.
you want to go with me, you can,
I
but
know,
you
Right.
something inside
have
me
to.
is weird.
Just remember, he killed a 14-year-old.
Yeah, and here's what he did, and you need to make that
These
decision,
events happened
but you will
so
never
fast
be
at
forced
the
to
time.
let him put his arm around you
these-
in a
these
picture or meet
Right.
with him if you don't want to.
See,
These sort
I
of things you
agree.
can't really
I
forget
agree totally.
on the part of those parents.
How traumatic would
having
it
to live
be
through
knowing your grandfather was a serial killer?
I don't regret the fact that
Yeah.
he's my father. I can't change it. I don't see Arthur Shawcross from Watertown with my children in 2008 in Sullivan Correctional. Totally different people. Totally different.
No, it's the same person. You've convinced yourself that they're totally different people.
There's always a bad man in me.
He's a good mimicker.
He's behind a door somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to keep him there. I don't want to hurt
But
nobody.
he's lied all his life. So
Really.
Just a final question, Arthur. I mean, why won't you talk about the two young children?
It's over.
Is it not because you're ashamed of it?
It's disconnect. This is over.
Okay. Thank you very much
I
for your
think
time.
you are so on the money, Janie.
He put his arms around us and was just do exactly what I say. He put his arm around my mouth and picked me up.
Okay, it's gone on to like the next.
All right, yeah, it's on the
So.
next one. But I think
We
you are
made it
so on the
through.
money with the children and his refusal to speak. I think he wants to keep that all to himself. His big secret. It's a way to control the cops. He
Mhm.
has something to hold in case he needs it. But also, it's his perfect fantasy.
It is. And I think he was always trying to recreate that and
Mhm.
wasn't able to.
I agree.
Yeah, Tally, we made it through the whole thing. The first 8 minutes took like an hour and a half.
It did. We were talking so much and we were going, do you agree on this? Do you agree on that? And going back and forth. And this really has been enjoyable and educational. And it's interesting that what I was thinking, you were thinking too.
Yeah. And so you guys in the chat, as we were watching it, and as you saw what I was saying about the tics stopping when he's not being truthful, can you like verify that that's what it seems to you as well?
Yeah. Weigh in. Everybody
Was it
can
shocking
watch this.
to you when you realized that? Because I know when I realized that, it was like fireworks went off over my head. Like, oh my God.
Well, I got cold chills.
Yeah,
was
I
like,
found his tail.
It was like, wait a minute. He's lying. That's why his face isn't moving. And I got cold chills last night, and I was like, please say I'm wrong. And then when you said it today, I was like, oh, shit. Okay, verification. So, it's, they better, oh, God, keep him in jail forever. And his daughter needs to be evaluated.
Yeah.
Bad.
Well, he's dead now. So we
Yeah.
don't have to worry about her children anymore. But
I worry about her.
I would be interested in an interview with her and, try and figure out what is wrong with her.
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of he had 4 wives and how many mistresses? They all left him. Okay, so they all knew there was something wrong with him, and they had to get away from him. You can't tell me that four individual women who were married to the same man for longer than a year didn't notice that something was wrong.
Yeah.
So her mother obviously has something wrong, and if like we believe that this is, both genetic and environmental, she could have one or both problems, and I would want to see her evaluated, and her children, and I want to know the truth. I want to know more.
Sugar, I don't know what you mean. Do you mean like his parole board, the panel that, I don't know what did the behavior panel
The psych
do?
panel before the parole, they all said keep him in jail.
Oh, is that a channel here on YouTube?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't either. If that's what it is, I'll check that out, because here's the thing. I got my degree in psychology and I lean towards the clinical side, and then I did like specialization in grief counseling. But my fascination has always, I mean, since I was a kid, I have been studying linguistic patterns, body language, and behaviors. They're fascinating to me. And
See, and I
so,
did criminal justice and forensics.
yeah.
So, and that's what fascinates me. Because honestly, I wanted to do jury, to pick juries and, work within the law, and, help with that. And because it's fascinating to me. So this is right up our alley.
Yeah, and actually, Tally, I want to do this again. And Tally, you get to pick the serial killer, but I want you to be involved so you can keep Beth and I on task, because we're both
we're a little talkative.
chatty. Yeah. And we need someone to keep us, to bang the gavel and say, okay, moving on.
Back to the subject. Yeah, Tally, you have to be on panel next time, and pick out a good subject. I'll go back and do basic research, and let's do this. We need to do this regularly because it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, and we need to like set a time limit, like we're gonna give an overview of his crimes for the first 20 minutes, and then we're gonna do what, because we do need someone who can keep us on task.
Yeah, because we get to going. But that's because we're a lot alike. We're interested in the same things, and we both have insights on things. So
well, and it's that whole thing, when you pull the string, it leads to anywhere with us,
Yeah, it does. It does, and it's, thank you, Deb. You never know what you're going to come up with, or what the other one is going to go. Hey, wait a minute, think about this, and then you go, oh shit, yeah, So it's great.
The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, I am extremely familiar with that. I would love that.
Now, I know quite a bit about it, but I'll have to brush up.
He's another disorganized killer, which is shocking when you figure, and I know it sounds terrible to put it this way, but how successful he was.
He just was opportunistic.
Yes, anyone. It didn't matter if you were 85 or, 17.
It was all about power in between. Of the kill. It was the power of the kill.
Exactly.
And he's fascinating. So yeah, we could do him next.
And then Son of Sam, I'm pretty familiar with that. Another one I find really, really interesting is the real big guy. I can't think of his name now.
Oh, I don't.
He's real big, real tall.
Oh gosh.
And a lot of Arthur Shawcross. He's really intelligent. Super intelligent. I can't think of his name. Someone will throw it out in the chat. Hey, Grant and Colette. But a lot of Arthur Shawcross reminded Ed Kemper. There it is. Yes, Tally.
Yes, Ed Kemper, and then the other one that was out in the middle of nowhere. and lived in his mom's house and made furniture out of
Ed Gein?
victim skin. Ed Gaines.
Yes.
Yes, we should do him. He fascinates me.
Yeah.
He really does. He was one that I couldn't read enough on him. He would, because they kept finding shit.
Now,
And
one person who I have no interest in, I mean, I could give you a general summary and I'd be okay, but I'm not interested in, and it's probably going to be shocking, is, what's his face? Charles Manson.
Manson. Oh, I don't give a fuck about Manson.
No,
I've heard
because
so much about Manson since I was like a kid that I'm bored with it.
good, sugar, we're glad. Well, and Charles Manson, he just wasn't that interesting as a killer
No.
because he didn't kill.
He didn't kill anybody. He got everybody else to do the job for him, and he was just crazy.
Yeah.
And they followed along like sheep. I mean, how do you get women, good-looking women in their 20s, to crawl on their bare hands and knees to the courthouse?
Well, now see, as a cult leader, he's interesting to me. Like
Yeah.
if we were going to talk about cult leaders, but as a serial killer, which he usually gets lumped in with, I have no interest.
He's not a serial killer. No, he was just a cult leader, and they all did the crimes for him. And
Yep.
honestly, I can't stand to hear about Sharon Tate because it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart. So, but we got to do this again.
Okay. Yeah. We've been here for 2 hours, so I guess we should probably wrap it up.
Listen,
But
people are
Beth,
probably
this
so
has
sick
been
of me.
this has been enjoyable, and I'm glad that you and I, with all we've been through, are able to do this together
Oh, me
and
too.
leave all that drama behind.
Oh, I am too. This has been so much fun, and we always have had like interests. We've just always been at odds heads, and I am so glad that all that's cleared up and that we can have a really enjoyable live stream that people enjoy watching. And this has been really great, and I can't wait to do it again.
Okay. Well, this is probably going to be like the focus of our friendship on here. We'll the things we're interested in, we'll share in, and when you leave here and I leave here, you go deal with whatever you want to deal with, and I'll deal with whatever I want to deal with. We can come back here and do this. It was fun.
It sounds great to me. People are probably sick of me being online today. I did a 2.5-hour live stream before this one. So
Well, I think I heard like the first 15 minutes, and I heard you talking about doing this. So that's why I was confused. Because I thought it was still on then.
You know what is sad about the live stream I did before is that I was trying to make peace with everybody. And we all made peace but one. And who took everything we said the wrong way. But I'm having peaceful live streams. I'm not gonna do screaming and shouting and hollering and all that, because frankly it's getting on my nerves and I'm tired of having heart attacks.
Well, I don't like feeling bad all the time, and that's all that does is makes me feel bad. That's okay, Kelly. Jeff B, did you catch the tell? Were you here for that part? It was amazing.
Oh, you gotta go watch it.
It was like a fireworks moment when it finally clicked what his tell was, because I'm always looking for people's tell. It's a hobby of mine.
Well, it's interesting because you're seeing not only into their emotional inside, but their neurological.
Well, the thing is, we don't always get someone with neurological problems, though. So
not always, but if they're a serial killer, they probably got some neurological problems.
Yeah. Bye, Grant. It was great to see you.
It's wonderful to see everyone. Thanks to everyone in the chat for being so kind to me and participating. And thank you again, Janie, for inviting me. And we'll do this again.
Okay.
All
no,
right,
it wasn't a shoulder shrug, Jeff. It was his twitch, his neurological tick that he has. When he's lying, it goes away completely. It was amazing. Amazing. You're going to have to go back and watch it, because when you realize it, you're going to be like, holy shit. yes, good night to you all. Thank you for coming. Next time we do this, each time hopefully we'll get a little better, and we'll get Towley on the case to keep us on task, and it'll be a good time. So Towley and Beth and I will start working on the next time, and I'll let y'all know ahead in advance so you can clear your evening. And you guys all have a wonderful evening. Tomorrow, have the day you deserve, and be deserving of the day you have. And I love you all. Good night. Mwah.